You're listening to the Paul Higgins Show, the place for ambitious tech consultants scaling to live better. After 18 years as a global leader and having a successful tech consulting exit, I'm sharing what's working now to transform emerging tech consultants worldwide into trusted consultants that attract the best clients and deliver measurable results. When you're ready to level up your clarity, results, and freedom, begin with the free Strategic Profits Blueprint available at paulhigginsmentoring.com/blueprint. Imagine this. You promised your family you'd take time off over this holiday season. And what happened? You let them down and you let yourself down. You had work interruptions. Hello, this is Paul Higgins and welcome to episode 517 of the Paul Higgins Show. And this is a solo show today. So let's dive into that problem at hand, which is work interruptions getting into your holidays. And I know this is just coming off the back of our biggest holiday for most of you, which is over the holiday season, the Christmas break, whatever you call it. But we're going to dive into the problem, but most importantly, give you a 3-step solution on how to solve it. So the problem is you're probably just doing too much, right? It's not just holiday season, it's all year round. And you're wearing too many hats. You know, you've probably heard me say that on other podcasts if you're a regular, but, you know, that's often the case. As business owners, we just wear too many hats. And, you know, what I'm really talking about here is marketing, sales, less around the ops and the delivery. You know, normally you've got people there, but it's all the things that your technical or your project or your consulting people can't do and you're left with them. And you spread too thin, and therefore it's really hard to switch off. Right? And that impacts, you know, that quality family time or friends or whatever it is that is for you. And many clients take time off, but not all do. So if you did take time off, congrats, that's great. But what you normally come back to is the pipeline is dry, or you dread the return because there's so much work to do now. And there is a better way. And I want to take you through it so that the next holiday period, particularly, you know, the end of the year, but also during the year, it's a lot more pain-free than what it is at the moment. So I ran an outsourcing company for 5 years, so I've got a lot of expertise in this area, which I will give you directly. So I've done it a lot. I've helped a lot of business owners like you to build some key roles. So what came to mind when I first said that? Key roles. Have you got a particular role in mind? Look, I found it that there is no right role. Right? But everyone's different. Every business is different. Your skills are different, right? So you might be doing different things versus someone else that's listening to this show. So what I'm thinking is we actually come up with the right tasks and we find the right people, but it's not necessarily a job role. I'll go into that in a bit more detail in a moment. But, you know, stop letting yourself and your family down. And you're saying, yeah, I get it, but how do I fund these extra people? Right? Believe me, I'll give you a solution to that because I know it's a common objection. It's the one that I hear. It's the one I hear from my clients all the time. But I'll tell you a simple way to fund it at the end. So what are the 3 steps? We've got task, decide, and hire, right? And you're probably thinking that's too simple, Paul. You know, task, decide, hire. Well, you know, I've just wasted 3 minutes of my life. Believe me, they are simple, but let me explain because I'm going to give you some really critical resources. And the first thing I'm going to do is give you a list of tasks. So if you go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/team, you will find that. You can get your free team task playbook there. So you might want to pause and go and get that. It's not essential. You can listen to the rest of the podcast without it, but it'll certainly help if you do have that in front of you. So once again, that's paulhigginsmentoring.com/team. So I have a list of tasks that tech consultants normally do. Now, remember, I've excluded the operations, the consulting and the delivery side. It's more the marketing, sales, and some admin and strategy, right? And what I want you to do is then add yours to that list, right? So it's a nice Google sheet and you'll see it and it'll make a lot of sense once you see it. So that's step 1, which is tasks. Step 2 is decide. And you've probably heard this methodology before, but I really look at 3 key actions. 1 is delete. I think it's always best to just stop doing stuff. And when you come back from a holiday, I know for me, I'm religious in just stopping stuff that doesn't add value because we all build up over the year tasks that don't really count, and then effectively we should stop those. So the first thing is clean. Just stop, delete. Anything that doesn't add value, delete it. And what's that saying? If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. I think it's hell Elron or someone. I can't remember the exact person. I apologise if you are that person that invented it. But delete is the first one. Then delegate is the next D. So who could you delegate this to? Now, it doesn't mean it's got to be delegated straight away, but who could you delegate it to? And then finally, what's left is do, is what you do, right? So it's delete, delegate, and do. They're the three key things. And every time we went and employed a role for someone, we wouldn't go and do it until we had this list, right? And it was very, very clear. So far, we've gone through tasks. Then the next one is decide. And the last one is the hire. And depending on the task you need to delegate, really creates the person that you should hire. And as I said before, I'm not a fan of titles. I don't believe that it's a specific person that does it. I think it's a job description per se. It's a list of tasks, and then you just get the person to do those because everyone's got different skills, etc. And the broad titles are sort of virtual assistant, sales admin, or marketing person. They're the common ones. But really what each person does in that is very different. You know, I could show you 20 VAs and they all do things differently, right, based on the owner's skill set, the business, etc. But I recommend you looking at both offshore and nearshore options, right? They can effectively be about a third of the cost of local. And most of you are listening to this in the US, certainly in the US. And I have many providers that you can tap into. So just, reach out to me and I can provide those. And there's plenty of links in the show notes and everything else to find me. So we've got three key actions. We've got tasks, we've got decide, and then we've got hire. But the bottom line is you don't want to let your family or yourself down again for the next holiday season. Okay, it's time to take action. You can get the team task playbook I mentioned. Just go over to paulhigginsmentoring.com/team. That's TEAM and ready, set, go. But hang on, haven't I forgotten something? Didn't I say earlier in the podcast that I was going to help you fund it, right? Which is a really critical thing. Well, ultimately, it just comes down to raising your prices. I know, once again, sounds simple, but sometimes the simple things in life are the hardest things to do. And I think you, in 2024, if you're listening to this is when I released it, you need to raise your prices. Now, everybody I work with raises their prices when they think they can't. They raise their prices and they don't lose customers. And at worst, just raise your prices and see if the work drops off, because you can always go back, right? But if you're at 150 an hour, go to 180 and just see what the impact will be. You'll be shocked, and that will fund this additional person, especially if they're nearshore or offshore. You're looking, circa, $12,000 a year, something like that. You'll easily recover that through putting up your prices. So see you next time on the Paul Higgins Show for more quick and simple ways to grow your tech consulting business and live more of the life you want now. Time for action. Subscribe, comment, and let me know what you like best about this episode. Plus, get the Strategic Profits Blueprint at paulhigginsmentoring.com/blueprint.